Welcome to Parev TV. Our guest today is a quintessential community activist and leader. He's a past commander of the Knights of Vartan and a dedicated humanitarian who has worked tirelessly to provide assistance to those in need throughout Armenia. He is a good friend. He is a strong supporter of Armenian organizations, including Parev TV, and he is someone whose commitment to service has touched the lives of many. It is my pleasure to welcome Leo Manuelian. Leo, thank you for your time.
Thank you for having me, Vartan. You embarrassed me with all those accolades. I don't do this for recognition. I never have. But thank you for having me on board and
Leo,
interviewing me.
honestly, that's the way we see you, and we admire your passion for everything you do for Armenia and Armenians. Let me jump to my first question. Throughout your work with the Knights of Vartan and the important role you played in organizing support for Armenian villages and individual families, you have demonstrated an unwavering dedication to helping others. Leo, what inspires you to be so deeply involved in humanitarian aid efforts for the needy in Armenia?
Vartan, that's an interesting question. Some people are just wired this way. I happen to be wired this way.
Mhm.
There are many people, and we both know them, who have means much greater than ours and don't do anything. And yet there are individuals who have means much less than ours and do much more. It's just the way I was wired, starting from my teenage years, being in the ACYOA, being on parish councils, being members of various organizations, and the Knights of Vartan. I just find myself drawn to helping people, and especially Armenians. I don't do much outside the Armenian community, but I spend a lot of time and effort helping the Armenians. And now that I'm retired, I have more time to do so.
We hope you're enjoying your retirement. And as you said, you're wired. I have many friends who are just wired to the community. Could you describe to us what kind of donations are collected to the families or villages or the needy people in Armenia?
Well, mainly, I'd say about 90 to 95% of our donations are in the way of clothing. Um, and I have a dedicated group of volunteers that work with me. And we look through the various items that are donated. We send those that are, sometimes we receive some donations that are inappropriate to be given, so we don't donate those to a local charity. And we sort through clothing, children's books, children's toys and games, as long as they're not electric. We don't want the families to have to purchase batteries, so we don't send electric toys. And household goods, mainly kitchenware, pots, pans, if they're in good condition, dishes, um, glassware sometimes, not no decorative stuff or wall hangings or anything like that. Very practical, useful items and sporting equipment. We send sporting equipment as well, and musical instruments. We
Mhm.
have sent them as well. Yes, those are the items that we took. What we cannot send are personal items, such as underwear, or shoes, unless they're absolutely brand new in new packaging, never been used.
Is
Uh,
there anything unique project that you have experienced that you were involved with that has made an impact on the life of the kids or the villagers?
oh, indeed. This isn't the only project that I've been involved with. In 2003, I joined a trip to Armenia, it was a Habitat for
Mhm.
Humanity trip. And we worked on I was not the leader of the trip, but we worked on a home in one of the poorer villages in Armenia. Minas Nikyan was the village, as a matter of fact. We worked on that home, and since I'm a civil engineer by profession, that was something that really interested me. And from then on, for the next 20, 22 years, for 18 times, I led trips to Armenia to build homes for villagers. We went to the same village 2 or 3 times sometimes in the vicinity of Yerevan. There are also trips led to Vanadzor and
Mm.
Yeregnazor in those communities, but I concentrated mainly around Yerevan. And I have to say that I probably helped the construction of 50 homes
Really
for villager families,
beautiful.
those that had land, they had a half-built home, but they had employment, but their position, their financial situation did not allow them to complete the construction of their homes. And in 2005, there was a big change there. Habitat for Humanity packed up and left Armenia, and the Fuller Center for Housing took over. And maybe 13, 14 times I went with the Fuller Center for Housing, doing exactly the same kind of work under better conditions and better terms than Habitat offered for the villagers. And it's been very rewarding.
Mm.
Uh, what actually what actually brought me into this particular project was maybe 15 or 20 years ago. You may know, and I'm sure many of the people watching this video would know, a fellow by the name of Harut Chantigyan. Harut Chantigyan um, knew of the way I was wired and my involvement, and asked me if I would be interested in helping him ship secondhand clothing in good condition to Armenia. So we looked about for a place to work off of, and it turned out that just about that time, St. Leon Church had acquired the property, an adjoining property with a home that was vacant at the time. And we started collecting clothing, and it just kept coming and coming and coming. We only worked for 2 hours every Saturday morning, but the clothes just didn't stop coming. We were hard put to just keep up with the neighborhood. The community was so generous, and eventually, though, what happened was St. Leon Church developed that for housing for visiting clergy and custodian. And so we stopped. And also the Lindsay Foundation, who was providing the containers, dried up. That was closed off and sent to the Promise Center at UCLA, the monies. So we didn't have any funding. And then came the situation in Artsakh. And when the Armenian community in Artsakh was dispossessed and ethnically cleansed, that emergency struck a chord in me, and I began again. By this time, Harut was too old to help. He's passed on since then, for my talking. Um, and we approached the Armenian community, and that time the one building on the campus of St. Leon Church was vacant, and the parish council was kind enough to give it to the Knights of Vartan and myself, and we began organizing. And in the first 3 weeks, we gathered 113 boxes of humanitarian aid and air freighted them to Armenia. The cost was $13,500 to air freight that. we collected $6,500 from the very same people who donated the clothes. They all wrote checks because of the situation. It was an emergency situation. And one member of the Knights of Vartan very generously offered $5,000, and the church offered $2,000. And that way we came up with the 13.5. We shipped that, and then we just continued to do it. We just didn't stop. The Knights of Vartan are continually raising money. St. Leon Church has been very generous. They're at the point now where they're donating half of the money that required for the shipment of the clothing, the customs fees, and the delivery fees in Armenia. So it's an ongoing operation. The cottage where we collect the donations is always open. The door is unlocked, and anyone that wishes to make a donation of clothing or any of the previous items that I mentioned, musical instruments, toys for children, and we even send some medical supplies, but not too much. Children's books in English, it's fine. Um, they're welcome to stop by into the cottage and to open the door and just place the items in there. And as I said, I have a dedicated team of volunteers who help me box the items, and the shipper picks them up and sends them. Yeah.
There's so many good people in the community. Many times we fail to recognize them or hear about their kind job work they do for the community. Leo, how do you identify which village to go to, which families to support? There's so much work to be done. How do you select the individual families or villages?
You're right in the fact that there's so much work to be done. For the past 110 years, we've been in a situation where we've needed help. We've always needed help. And as much as you do, it's never enough. And there's so many organizations that do so much more than I do, and yet it never seems to be enough. In my travels to Armenia, in the 18 times or so that we went there, my wife, of course, she passed away 4.5 years ago, but we decided that we wanted to have a home there, and so we do have one now, and I go there quite often. I go there for 4 months of the year, and in my travels there, I've come across people, and I've gone to organizations that help the needy there. Um, and the the individuals that run them, they're mainly organizations that support women's rights. One is in Vanadzor, and one is in Hrazdan, and there's one in a women's shelter in Barkhunk, which is on the road to Echmiadzin or Vagar from Yerevan. And I visit these places. I check to make sure that they're legitimate organizations. Their purposes are to help women, abused women, women, disabled women, women with disabled children, single women with children that they need to support. But in addition to that, they've added this onto their agenda, distributing items to needy families. And so we've identified 3 or 4 um, institutions like that, NGOs, and they get the clothing, and when I travel there, I stop by and check up on them and make sure everything is being done accordingly. I want to make sure that there's so much talk about aid that gets to Armenia, that goes to Armenia, but never gets to the right place. And I even with the home building, um, when we go there to build a home, we donated most of the material to actually build a home. And when we arrived at the site, the sand, the cement, the gravel, the doof that we all paid for, it was there on the ground waiting for us to put into the home. And the next year, when I would go back, I would visit that home completed with my team. and I would show the team what a completed home looked like. But it was more gratification for me to make sure that my effort was being appreciated and it was worthwhile. And it's the same thing with these distribution. I visit the people, the NGOs, and I check to make sure that they are distributing the items. I have to do that. I can't accept donations from individuals in our community and then not be responsible for getting them to the right to the needy people who need them.
Well,
That's what I'm
you
entrusted
know,
with.
one of the objectives of these interviews for me through Parev TV is to reach the community, but especially the younger generation. When I asked you what motivates you, you turned to and said, I'm wired. I was wired all my life. And you mentioned ACYOA, the church, the Knights of Vartan, and all the other organizations we have that make an impact on the youth. What is your words of advice to the younger generation in hopes you can see them pursue the same spirit that you have and help the needy in the community or Armenians anywhere in the world?
Well, the most important thing is to realize that this activity should not be the total focus of your life. You have an education you need, you have a profession that you need, or a business that you need takes priority, family takes
Right.
priority. So all of those items took priority. And after I was had my education and was launched in my professional career and began to raise a family, then I began to have the time to do this. That's the most important thing, not to sacrifice anything else. And if you have that calling, I mean, we see young people constantly being called to the altar to be deacons. We see them joining these various organizations. Next Gen is an organization, the AGBU professionals. These organizations attract people, and they're people like me who, 20, 30, 40 years younger than me, who are wired the same way that I am and are interested in helping Armenian causes. And the organizations are there. You just need to prioritize. Make sure you take care of your family, your profession, and then have the time to do this and proportion your time accordingly. Don't I've seen many cases of people who get so involved to the detriment of their family, and that's never been my problem. I always took my family first and my job first, and then found the time to help because that's I know God made me this way. What can I tell you?
No, thank you very much for everything you're saying. We always ask people for the challenges they have faced and what they are most proud of in their accomplishments. Could you talk to us about the challenges or what you're really proud of achieving?
Well, the thing that I'm most proud of achieving was the construction, the helping of constructing of about 50 homes because these families,
Yeah.
once some of them had been living 20, 30, 35 years in a domic, and they
Hmm.
raised children in a domic. And if you've ever been in a domic, I went into a domic once and I refused to ever go into another domic again.
Really?
The situation was so discouraging, so depressing.
Mm.
And they've lived this way for 20, 30 years. And once they have a home, they never leave the country. There's no reason for them to leave the country.
Hmm.
You see, and this is the greatest thing that I have come across to stem emigration out of Armenia. Um,
Very good.
now, secondly, one of the most things that's given me the greatest satisfaction lately, aside from the humanitarian aid, is that the Knights of Vartan have started a program called ESP, Economic Sustainability Project, and they have arranged. We have a young lady who's our employee based in Yerevan, Gohar Balyan, and she has sought out Artsakh family refugees who had businesses in Armenia. We're talking construction businesses, bakeries, restaurants, and hairdressers, seamstresses. They left everything behind, their equipment, their business, and had to flee. And so we provide them with startup money to start that same business in Armenia. And this has been very rewarding for me lately. I've contributed personally to the startups of two businesses there, and I visited the businesses. I wanted to make sure that my donation was being used adequately. One is a bakery in the Masis area of or Taramas, as they say there, the Masis Taramas in Armenia, and the town gave the family a spot, a location. They purchased a metal box, and my donation was used to purchase equipment, a mixing machine, and what they needed for the bakery, and they have a thriving business, and they have no reason to leave Armenia. It's another thing that makes me very, very proud and very satisfied. And the Knights of Vartan is doing that, and you don't need to be a member of the Knights of Vartan to contribute. You can make a donation through any Knights of Vartan organization, or get a hold of me, and I'll direct you to the right people. And your funds will be used to help an Artsakh refugee family restart their business in Armenia.
Leo, this is a very, very interesting interview. I'm enjoying listening to you. You are not involved only in Armenia. You have for many years been a major player in the New York, New Jersey area. People know you, they respect you, they admire what you have done. Could you give us your thoughts in closing this interview? What are your thoughts? You must have a general idea of what you would like this community or Armenia to be. What can you wrap it up with?
Well, just like any other group, ethnic group, it seems that only 5 or 10% of the actual population is involved
Mm.
in the community, and this is something that I would love to see increase. Now, in the United States, we don't have the since it's a pluralistic society, our only gathering places are within our churches. That's where we meet other Armenians, and various um, college clubs and youth organizations. There are several of them. Many of them are connected with the church, and some of them are not. The AGBU is one that's not. And I'd love to see more involvement in the youth in their own, whether or not they decide to contribute materialistically or not is irrelevant. I just would love to see more involvement with the young people in issues of that require, that the for the Armenians, the the National Committee, the Armenian Assembly. They do wonderful work. They have 15 or 20 interns every summer learning the political process. That to me is something that's extremely important. It should be important to every Armenian, but it's not. That's the issue that I have. Most just say, well, inshallah b'di Allah. They just care about themselves. They're not interested in the community in general. And this is something where we need to have a great deal more involvement with. And I would wish that for the Armenian community, for the young people to begin to get engaged in their community, as well as their own lives, their own private lives, their families, their education, their professions. Yes, but the community at large, I would wish to see more engagement.
Leo, you've said very, very encouraging words there. I cannot add anything to what you said. I think you speak on behalf of the entire community. And you were very generous in saying that 10% of the community participates. I would disagree. It's even less than 10%. And we need 10% and we need 100% participation. Leo, you enjoy the love and respect, admiration of the community. I know what people talk about you. So thank you very much. Enjoy good health, many days ahead, and continue whatever you can to inspire us and to help Armenia be a better Armenia for all Armenians. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. And as you once said to me, Leo, you're a pillar of our community. And what was my response? If I'm the pillar, you're the foundation. All right. Thank you very much for having me. And thank you for your 41 years now of of the Armenian Radio Hour.
Well, I hope your message will go through. That's the whole idea of these videos. And I think it's a very effective way of reaching the community. And then once again, thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.